Hey everyone, and welcome back to Get Your Geek On's Marvel Cinematic Universe Retrospective. I'm Robert, that's Aaron. We're here to talk movie by movie through the MCU's Infinity Saga, 23 movies across 11 years.
Expect spoilers as we get into each movie, but we will start off each video by letting you know whether we consider this an essential movie for the overall arc of the MCU. Think of this as your guide into getting into the MCU.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a couple of filler movies out there that maybe aren't essential. But if you're a completionist like me or Aaron, you might rate them all essential.
Especially
Who
Spider-Man.
knows? So we're on to 2017's Thor Ragnarok. This was directed by Taika Waititi and returned Chris Hemsworth, Tom Hiddleston, Anthony Hopkins, Idris Elba, and Mark Ruffalo. It also introduced Cate Blanchett as Hela, Tessa Thompson as Valkyrie, and Jeff Goldblum as Grandmaster, and Benedict Cumberbatch also makes a brief appearance as Doctor Strange. The movie made $122 million opening weekend and $846 million over its run, making it easily the highest earning Thor movie. And I got shit in my eyes, so you're going to have to edit this part out. God damn it.
I don't know if it's what I saw flying because I saw something like, oh. And so I heading that way, I was like,
got in my eye.
Like a little fur or hair or something.
It's okay. I nailed it. I remained professional. Oh, shit. All right. I think we're ready.
Yeah.
Here we go. All right, so is it essential?
Yeah.
Hell
I think
yeah.
it was.
Hell yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Especially if you skipped the first two Thor movies, which I think
you
said the first Thor was essential. And we both were, I think, on the fence with Thor: The Dark World because of the Reality Stone. But this movie actually just kind of recaps the first two movies.
It really does.
And it also tells you what Thor and Hulk have been up to since Avengers: Age of Ultron. And then the post-credit scene directly sets up Infinity War. So, yeah, this is an essential movie.
It really does. The first Thor one that I would agree, like, you must watch.
Yeah. So, all right. Thinking back to 2017, not that long ago, public expectations for this movie. What do you remember?
Honestly, that's the funny thing. I really don't remember much on the expectations of this one for some reason.
Yeah.
I want to say people were ready for it because I think we knew it was right before Infinity War was supposed to come out.
Yeah, I think people actually, because the first two Thor movies weren't like super smash hits.
No.
I think everybody, they like the Iron Man movies, they like the Captain America movies. Thor: The Dark World was one of like the least well-reviewed movies. And so people were like, why are they making another Thor movie? And then they dropped the trailer on us with Cate Blanchett as Hela and Mark Ruffalo as the Hulk. And people were like, this is why they're giving us a third Thor movie.
It took a whole different direction than the other two films. Yeah. I will say that.
Oh, for sure. And, personally, I mean, I like both of the first two Thor movies. I think the first movie is better. The second one's all right. So I was excited. And I mean, obviously, I see all the MCU movies in the theater. I was going to see this movie no matter what. So I really wish they hadn't spoiled that Hulk shows up in this movie in the trailers.
That's true.
But from a marketing perspective, you know why they did. This movie made the most money out of the Thor movies, and I guarantee you that's why.
Oh, yeah. I agree with you because, I mean, they had to tie it in, and I think they needed to get that draw in because this is his first time directing this movie, right? What if the director's name?
Taika Waititi. Yeah. This is his first MCU movie.
Yeah.
He's not a first-time director. He directed other movies.
Right.
But yes, this is the first time he's in the MCU.
So I think you kind of needed to show off, like, what else can we do? Because this is not a director we've worked with in the MCU. So, let's bring something in. And, yeah, the Hulk is the big gun, essentially, in this film.
Yeah. And, again, they did spoil it in the trailers. So sorry for the spoiler alert now. If you're going, I didn't know Hulk was in this movie, then I guess you weren't in the trailers. I don't know.
Yeah.
So, all right. I also, first time watching this movie, I remember walking out and I had so much fun with this movie. I thought it was immediately one of my favorites. And I thought, performances, action, everything across the board. I really enjoyed it. What about you? Your first time coming out?
First time coming out, I was stoked because especially the end credit scene, or the mid-credit scene, I think, in that one, right? Mm-hmm. That set me up because I knew what was coming next. Mm-hmm. I was so excited after that. I was like, yes. And this movie was so much more fun than any of the other MCU movies because the style is so different. It's almost that Guardians of the Galaxy level.
Very different. Yeah, it's It definitely, if you were to put this movie in a category, you're gonna put it with the Guardians of the Galaxy. It's definitely like the Guardians of the Galaxy carved out their own section of space that was, very vibrant and colorful and funny and all of those things. And the other Thor movies, while they took place in space, it was, kind of more regal. It was more, kind of Shakespearean, Norse god, which, the first one's directed by Kenneth Branagh. That makes sense.
Yeah.
But this movie definitely veers more into that Guardians territory. It's colorful when they get to Sakaar.
Oh, God,
everything's bright and colorful. It's funny. They're hitting you with jokes from moment one.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's go ahead and just get into the movie, right? So Thor, he's on the hunt for Infinity Stones when he begins dreaming of Ragnarok, the destruction of Asgard that's brought about by Surtur. So he decides he's going to go investigate that. He confronts Surtur, defeats him, and returns to Asgard with Surtur's crown. And upon arriving, he discovers that Loki has been impersonating Odin for several years. And so with the help of Doctor Strange, he and Loki find Odin in Norway, just in time for Odin to reveal that he's about to die, and their older sister Hela, who they didn't know about, is about to return and is going to try and take over the universe. That's fun. All right.
That's about right.
Odin dies. Hela shows up. What does she do? The first thing, she destroys Thor's hammer, and all of a sudden they're on their way back to Asgard in the Bifrost, and she knocks them out into what we find out later is Sakaar. Hela shows up in Asgard, immediately kills our Warriors 3, and wipes out the armies of Asgard, and raises an army of the dead with which she's going to conquer the universe. But she accidentally overlooks the Bifrost sword, which she needs to travel everywhere else in the world, and Heimdall grabs it and basically is in hiding on Asgard, right? Meanwhile, on Sakaar, Thor encounters Valkyrie, a former Asgardian soldier, and is forced to fight Hulk for his freedom by the Grandmaster. Thor tries to escape. Hulk ends up transforming back into Bruce Banner for the first time in 2 years, and they escape along with Valkyrie, headed to Asgard alongside Korg and... I apologize. They're headed to Asgard to battle Hela. Loki, during the escape, attempted to betray Thor, but is actually thwarted, and eventually shows up on Asgard alongside Korg and other warriors from Sakaar. And he's gonna save the Asgardian people, right? Loki's always trying to trick people. But this time he actually kind of is.
Yeah.
Interesting. But they realize they can't defeat Hela. She's too powerful. So Thor has Loki initiate Ragnarok, and the team escapes as Surtur destroys Asgard and Hela. And Thor finally takes his place as king, and as credits roll, the Asgardian ship is encountered by a giant, mysterious ship.
Who could it be?
Who can it be now? All right, we're off the 80s. So that's the movie in a nutshell. What stands out? What are your favorite parts of this movie? Character arcs, all that stuff.
So my favorite part's the humor in general. I think the humor was just spot on. Almost every little one-liner, every joke was just delivered perfectly.
I remember sitting in the theater and this movie opened with a little voiceover from Thor, and he's talking to someone that you can't see, and it turns out he's talking to a skeleton, and it kind of does this like Rube Goldberg-esque, like it falls apart, and it was like, what's going on with this movie? And by the time he then is talking to Surtur and basically getting Surtur to reveal what Ragnarok is, because he doesn't seem to know what it is, and he's like spinning around, and he's like, wait, hold on a second, by that point, I was like, oh, this is what we're in for?
Yes.
I'm on board.
That scene sold all the humor in it. As he's talking, you're getting this big evil monologue. He's like, wait, hold on. I swear I'm not doing this. Because it happens, twice?
Yeah.
And the second one, it's just... And you see Surtur just kind of... like, he is seriously just waiting. Like, you could just kill him.
Voiced by Clancy Brown, by the way.
That's freaking awesome.
I mean, it's fantastic. And the way he voices him is really great. You get the menace from him, but also, like, you can tell he's a little bit cartoony.
Yeah.
And like you get your first the running gag in this movie is Thor, that's what heroes do. So you get the first time that he does that where he calls Mjolnir but he mistimes it. But the action scene there is great as he's fighting people off. The way he uses Mjolnir in that fight scene, where he defeats Surtur and then puts it on the dragon's mouth and then flies away with it, and the dragon's head gets cut off in the Bifrost. Like, it's all fantastic. Perfect. That's all leading up to the credits moment. Yeah, I mean, like, this movie is funny from the get-go. I think it might be my favorite moment in any Thor movie ever, is when he's trying to escape and from Sakaar, and he's got the ball and he throws it and knocks himself out. And he just pops back up like, it's what heroes do. It's just what heroes do. It's so the conversations he has with both Hulk and then Bruce are hilarious, where he's going to like that. No, I prefer you. I don't even like
numbers.
I don't even like Banner. And then he's talking to Banner later. He's like, I prefer you rather than the Hulk.
I don't want to just hit things.
Smash. And it's like,
it was so stupid. I love it.
And it's great because clearly they are two distinct people, and he's trying to work alongside. And I love that moment where Bruce is like, you're just using me to get to the Hulk, and he's like, well, he is very useful in a fight. So is Banner. Who
has 7 PhDs? Not Hulk.
Yeah. So definitely the humor in this movie is, from moment one all the way to the end. I mean, that kind of the final, not really the final joke in the movie, but one of the final ones where Surtur is destroying Asgard and the Hulk goes to hit him, and they're like, no, leave him alone. This is on purpose. Hulk. Big monster. Hulk is like, what? This is what I do.
Yeah, I hit things.
I fight things. And, Korg, who we haven't even talked about, the rock monster, who is absolutely hilarious. Every one of his moments. So I've been talking a lot about the humor, so you're the one that brought it up. So
but it's okay, because
what are some of your favorite parts?
You kind of hit a lot of my favorite parts. The humor is just from the get-go with him speaking and fighting Surtur to the very end where, like you said, Hulk and him, he's like, Hulk, don't hit it. Hulk, not smash. Don't smash. And the humor is just the get-go. And like, you didn't even touch on Valkyrie. I love her. Our first view of Valkyrie, she's drunk off her butt, coming down the ramp, and then she falls over drunk.
And I love that moment where she's like trying to get up and she like puts her arm through like a dead
creature.
Yeah. And it's like the sound it makes, and like squelches. It's like, and you're like, ugh.
Oh, I love when she's trying to turn the guns on. It's just like, oh yeah, now they're on. And then she just murders everybody.
Yeah,
it's just like, oh, okay. And I think those couple scenes is what sold me. And it went from like, man, is this going to be a good movie to, oh my God, this is going to be a good movie. Yeah. Like, I don't care what else happens now.
Jeff Goldblum?
Jeff Goldblum's, his humor is, oh my God.
It's so weird and awkward, but also hilarious. Like that moment where he talks about, time works different on Sakaar. Anywhere else, I'd be millions of years old, but here. And he just kind of like
stopped. I love Tom Hiddleston looking at him like.
Everyone's like, are you going to finish the sentence?
Yeah.
But he's just weird. That's just what he does. I briefly mentioned Korg, like his moments of talking about trying to start a revolution, or like piss off Ghost, or to his final moments where he's like, the foundations of Asgard still remain. We can make it a safe haven for everyone. And those foundations are gone.
I'm sorry. Oh, I stepped on Meek. He's dead. That's so bad. Forget his buddy. Oh wait, no, he's alive. What was your question again?
Yeah.
It's just like.
And by the way, that character is voiced by Taika Waititi. So the director,
really? I didn't know that.
Director of this movie is also in the movie as Korg.
I never knew that.
Yeah, I mean, he's a great character. We get a little bit more of him in Endgame. I hope we get more of him in the next Thor movie, which is Love and Thunder, which will also be directed by Taika Waititi.
Ooh.
So they're bringing the band back together for that movie. I'm really looking forward to it, and I definitely hope we get more Korg. One of my favorite characters. He's absolutely hilarious.
It sold me, and I do love the cameo we have with Doctor Strange. We do get, they talk about like, okay, I left Dad here, and they go to Earth, and was it Shady Oaks or something, or Acres?
Shady Oaks. I think Shady Acres or Shady Oaks.
Or I
don't know. It's one of those.
But he's being destroyed, and he's like, I left him right here, and he's like, what? And it's just like, I don't know.
Yeah, and the whole thing with Loki, I've been falling for 30 minutes.
I've been falling for 30 minutes. Because Doctor Strange sends him through this little portal thing.
It's really great. And definitely, this movie is funny. Doctor Strange. And I think it's really clever because it's only been a year since Doctor Strange came out by the time this movie's coming out. That came out in November 2016. Thor Ragnarok's November 2017. But we've got to get people up to speed on Doctor Strange's power level and ability. And you can see how far he's jumped ahead through his interactions with Thor. And he's, does this, I'm just checking to see if this incantation needs any Asgardian modifications.
Yeah, he knows everything.
And he's just doing the whole thing. And, Loki, who's, the god of mischief, is who's it? You think you're a sorcerer? Okay, bye-bye. He just sends them away. They're gone. You're done. So I really think that's a clever way to, ramp up his power sets, let you know where he's at.
Now, I did though, it was kind of interesting. You say they wrapped up his power, and he is powerful. They show him just jump, almost like space jumping everywhere.
Sure.
But then he never realizes the umbrella is really the hammer. That was one thing I thought was interesting. I don't think he ever realized.
I think he does.
You think so?
I think he knows.
But he just destroys everything, calling the hammer over.
No, and I think that's why he knows. I think even at the first one, he's don't forget to put your umbrella. I think he sees through that illusion.
I think so?
I think he knows it's Mjolnir.
I wondered because I was does he really know? Because then you hear crunch, crunch. It's all this stuff that he breaks.
And it's just played for laugh again, where you have Thor going, sorry.
He's waiting for it. Yeah. I'm sorry, the haircut?
The haircut scene is great, which obviously, comes about partially from Chris Hemsworth not wanting to wear this wig anymore.
Yeah.
So now in this movie and moving forward, he's just got a haircut.
You dare touch my hair.
Please, Cancer, don't come here. Great Stanley cameo.
One of the better ones, I thought, actually.
I will say, so I don't know if it's a plot hole, how you want to do it. Okay. Hela showing up on Earth, and she steps out of a portal.
Yeah.
Right? So I don't know what the implication is there. Can she travel by portal? But if she can, then why doesn't she do that later in the movie when apparently she's trapped on Asgard? Or is that more about she can't maybe bring her army with her, and she draws her power from Asgard, so she's staying there until she figures out a way to get her army off? But that leads to the possibility, because people have broken it down frame by frame, and there does seem to be a flash of green light right as Surtur is destroying Asgard. The sword is coming right through where Hela is. Maybe she was able to teleport away, and so she could still be alive somewhere in the MCU. Obviously, she won't be as powerful because Asgard has been destroyed, but Thor also remained, his power remains, and the line is dropped in this movie that he draws his power from Asgard. So maybe she will still be as powerful. I don't know.
See, and that's where I kind of wonder, because Anthony Hopkins or Odin has to tell him it's not a place. Asgard is the people.
Right.
So yeah, maybe she will keep her powers because the people.
If she's even still alive. This is all speculation at this point. We don't know. But I want to talk about performances because there's two that really stand out to me. I think everybody does a really good job. But I think Cate Blanchett as Hela and Mark Ruffalo as Bruce Banner, I think this is his best performance in the MCU. And I love Cate Blanchett's performance in this movie. So I don't know. What do you think?
So, I love her. I do love her as this version of Hela.
Very different than the comics.
Completely different, almost. So, as the MCU one, she nailed it. I think she did a good job for what they told her. This is how we want the character. This is what we want to do with it. Bam, she's like, I got you. And she took care of it.
I love the way she, interacts with other characters, the scene where, she shows up and just wipes out two of the warriors, immediately. Fandral and Volstagg,
I think so, yeah.
Are the two that she, and then eventually she ends up killing Hogun as well. And I love that interaction where she gives her whole speech, and then he's like, whoever you are. And she's like, did you not even listening to me?
And that's the humor, though. And I love it.
And it's great. And then she has her interaction with, Carl Urban, by the way, who, is in every movie. Carl Urban, who is Éomer in Lord of the Rings. Yeah. He's been in the Jason Bourne movies. Yeah. He was Judge Dredd.
Who's he in this one?
He's Scourge. He's our executioner. That's Carl Urban.
Oh my god, I didn't realize it.
He disappears into that role.
Oh my god, I didn't realize it was. And I kept looking at him and I was like, I know this guy.
That's him.
But who is he? And as I'm watching this is the second or third time I've seen this movie, I'm like, who is this guy? I'll look him up later, and I forgot to.
And I love that scene between the two of them where she's like, every great our leader had an executioner, not just to kill people, but also to execute their vision.
Yeah.
But mainly to kill people.
Kill people.
And it's like another great. So I'm sorry, I kind of cut you off.
No,
you were
good.
talking about Hela and her performance.
I
really like her.
She does a really great job. I actually like Tessa Thompson. I think she's a great Valkyrie. Now, Valkyrie is a little bit different in this than the comics as well. Yeah. But again, I feel like they told her this is the direction, and she sold it. I mean, she sells you on the drinking, that I'm a badass personality, almost, I don't want to say bigger than life, because she's really not.
Sure.
But she does kind of almost steal some of the scenes that she is in. And I like that. I'm like, I don't know much about her, but a lot of the scenes she kind of was like, look at me right here. I'm the badass.
She has great chemistry with everyone in this movie. Whether it's Jeff Goldblum and his lackey, or Chris Hemsworth as Thor, or
actually
Bruce Banner
ones are
yeah, like their interactions, and she really has great chemistry with everyone. I think she's a fantastic actress. I think maybe I don't necessarily have any standout scenes for her, even though I like everything that she does. Yeah. I think maybe that's why she didn't immediately come to mind, because like for Bruce Banner, like that scene where he's freaking out right after he transforms, like that's
Mark Ruffalo
is killing it. Later, I love his interaction with Loki, where he's tied up and he just like shows up and he's like, so last time I saw you were trying to kill everyone. Where do you sit now? Mm-hmm. Varies from moment to moment. And like his face is just like oh my gosh, like this guy's evil. Like and the way he even interacts, it feels very authentic to Bruce Banner, the Bruce Banner that we've had up to this point, and also with the knowledge that he's been gone for 2 years. Hulk took over, and he hasn't been Bruce in 2 years, and he's freaking out about that.
And I think the line that sums that up the best, he's like, I always felt me and Hulk had one hand on the steering wheel each, but now it feels like I'm locked in the back of the trunk and he just has the keys.
Yeah.
And I was like, that sums up what happened literally for the last 2 years.
And I think, like, again, knowing what's to come in Infinity War and Endgame, this movie really seeds a lot of that, kind of feeling of, he talks about, if I turn into Hulk again, I might not come back.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen. And the next time we see him transform into Bruce after that is when he basically gets sent across the cosmos by Heimdall and shows up in Doctor Strange's house at the beginning of Infinity War. That's the first time we see him transform back into Bruce, and it took Hulk getting his butt whooped by Thanos for that to happen. So I mean, he might have been right. If that hadn't happened, he might not have become Bruce again.
Exactly.
Like, it's crazy.
It really is. And again, I love, like you said, the performance from everybody is solid. I like her, Tessa Thompson, and Mark Ruffalo, because as Hulk, she's bonded with him throughout this whole time.
Yeah, big guy and angry girl.
Yeah,
calls her. I love that.
And I love their interaction. They're so fun. And then when he is Bruce Banner, and she looks at him, she's like, I feel like I know you. And they just feel, I know you too. Yeah, and they're just back and forth. And the smile she gives, it's almost that same smile she gives the Hulk.
Yeah.
And I'm like, she doesn't know he's the Hulk, but she's almost acting like he is the Hulk.
Yeah.
Because the smiles that she gives him, it's like when you saw Hulk and her earlier, they're almost identical. The playful banter they're having, it's almost identical. Yeah. But then I do love when he's like, you want to know who I am?
And he just smashes on the Rainbow Bridge. Yeah. And again, I mean, we've talked about the humor already. So many. Another one of my favorite moments is, when Thor is naming the team. It's we're the Revengers. I'm getting revenge. You're getting revenge, and he like goes over to. And I'm undecided. Like he just I just everything about that is really great. I love Mark Ruffalo in this movie. I think he just absolutely kills it. And his humor moments are great as he's, Thor is like, fly the spaceship. Use one of your 7 PhDs. Never for flying alien spaceships.
I love when he's like, there's got to be a gun on this thing. It's just a bunch of fireworks. It's my birthday.
Yeah.
It's like, wow.
Yeah, the movie is hilarious. The performances are great.
Laugh.
And the action is great. And has there ever been a more obvious yet perfect use of song to fighting as an immigrant song with Thor fighting? It's just perfect. They use it twice in this movie. It happens at the beginning in the Surtur fight, and it happens at the end when he shows up on the Rainbow Bridge. Just perfect usage of that song.
It really is. And I love the fight scenes, and I'm kind of glad you talked about it, because this is, as much as I love the fight scene, there is one thing that irks me, and I see it every time I watch this movie. Where he loses his eye.
Yep.
You could still almost see his eye. The makeup is not great on the eye itself.
I'm not looking that close.
I mean, I think I've said this in all of our videos. I always look for those little like visual things and the makeup things. And when I look at it, you could almost see his eye because she does. I think it was a dagger, right, or a sword. She takes to his eye.
Yeah, her powers are weird, so she can just pull weapons out of anywhere, whatever weapon she needs: spikes, swords, axes.
I mean, and they're not just small. I mean, at one point they're like huge as like 30-foot long ones. It's like,
she can do whatever she wants.
Yeah, I didn't like that part. Okay.
It's weird, but the movie's so great that I don't care. It's kind of like the same thing with the Portal. It's like the movie's so good that they didn't explain it, and maybe they will later. Maybe they'll explain it later. So okay.
One of the weird things too in the fight scene, speaking of the swords, is like she throws one out of her foot. I don't know if you ever noticed that.
Yes.
I was like,
when she's like spinning around.
Yeah, she just kicks her leg up and the sword flies out. I'm like,
they can fly from anywhere.
Okay, I don't.
She just kills everyone.
I'm not going to touch that joke at all. So the eye scene does bother me though. Like every time I look at it, I'm like, you could have done a little bit better. But you can almost see the white of his eye under like the little, I guess it's a mesh they looks like they put under there. And I'm assuming that's what they've done because I've done something almost similar. Yeah. You put a little mesh under there, which is kind of so he could still see essentially, and they put the makeup all around it. I don't know if maybe it got washed a little bit. I don't know how the weather was. You don't know if it didn't hold well. But I can almost always see his eye. And every few like frames or so, you can almost see it like he looks. You can almost see it move. That bothers me.
Well,
makeup.
And I remember that being, definitely one of the things they did keep hidden because not only had previews for this movie shown like him arriving on the Rainbow Bridge with both of his eyes lighting up with the lightning, but there had also been an Infinity War trailer with him in it at this point that the movie came out, and he had both eyes still in that trailer.
They hid that really well.
And obviously, he loses one of his eyes in this movie. Now they do give it back to him halfway through Infinity War with like the scene with Rocket.
Rocket always has random objects.
But I definitely think the action in this movie. I thought there were some really inventive uses of Mjolnir early in the movie.
Yes.
That we like that fight scene where it's kind of going around. That's a cool action shot. And then
pulls it back.
Like the. Are you Thor, God of Hammers? Like, that's a great line. And it really, like the way he fights then without a weapon, I think is a really cool, it's a really cool touch. So, yeah, I really like the action in this movie, too, which, like, you shouldn't be fair. Like, the movie's hilarious. There's great performances. And then you also have great action. Like, the fight between Hulk and Thor.
Perfect.
It's amazing.
Gosh, that fight scene was really, really good. Now, I do want to comment that we do see, and I think I've said this in other videos, I've been wanting to see Beta Ray Bill, and this is the scene you get Easter egg, as well as I believe the other one is, I don't know, like I'm excited that maybe we'll see Beta Ray Bill down in the future.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll see one of the other guys. And the cool thing is too, like the background when you look at this shot, so essentially the shot's like the tower, it almost has a Galactus helmet kind of feel too.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of wondering if eventually they'll bring Galactus around. And I know what, I just don't care anymore. I'm not going to because I keep hitting the wrong sites, and I don't want later Aaron to get all like,
fail.
Aaron, you should have done this. You've done it right.
Here you go, right here.
What is it? It's Guardian or it's. Why is this giving me like the first one?
Maybe the Bi Beast is an option. Man Thing, Ares.
Ares, yeah. Is that who it is? It's not. Okay, it wasn't who I thought of.
But it's Beta Ray Bill. Yeah, which is definitely cool to get a Beta Ray Bill shout out. Could he show up in Thor: Love and Thunder? We don't know.
Maybe not. I'll have to look at that one up later. There's another guy I thought it was, and that's going to bother me now.
Fail.
It is epic fail. So anyway, so I don't have to edit so much more.
Yeah, sounds like you're going to have fun editing now. So, all right, getting back into this movie, we've kind of given our full thoughts. So in terms of how it ties into the Infinity Saga, we don't get any Infinity Stones in this movie, but we talked about Civil War being really important to kind of the Earthbound heroes and their arc leading up to Infinity War.
Yeah.
This movie is for those other characters outside of the Guardians. Yeah. This leads all of those characters that we've been familiar with, whether it be Thor or Hulk, Loki, kind of the rest of the characters, Heimdall, all of those other characters that might show up in or do show up in Infinity War. This is how they get there. So I definitely say, even though there's not any Infinity Stones, like it does very much tie into the Infinity Saga.
We do see the fake gauntlet again.
We do, which is actually called out as being fake because eagle-eyed fans will remember that the gauntlet that showed up in the first Thor movie was, I believe, for a right hand, and then when Thanos picks it up at the post-credit scene of Age of Ultron, he uses his left hand, and people were like, "Well, what about that gauntlet in Thor?" So then they kind of were like, "Oh, that one's a fake one. It doesn't really count because he's using his left hand one."
Yeah, and she calls out all the items fake. Ooh, and then she sees the Tesseract, and she's like, "That's
not bad.
That's bad."
Yeah. Like, and I do love that moment that Loki, as he's going to enact Ragnarok, sees the Tesseract, and you can see he's like, and obviously we find out later he swiped it because he's Loki. Of course he did.
And that's how you tie in to the Infinity War right there, because he did steal it. So you're right. It doesn't necessarily tie in directly, but there's a lot of indirect ways. Loki steal it. We know how the Tesseract gets back in his hands.
So actually, good point. We do see an Infinity Stone in this movie because we see the Tesseract. I wasn't even thinking about it.
I didn't think about it until we started talking about the vault scene.
There it is.
So I mean that ties it because now we know where the Infinity Stones kind of are at this point.
Yep.
And now we know
the Solar Stone at this point. We know where it's at, and we also this is where Thanos obviously shows up. He's able to track the Space Stone in some way. And that's how he's able to find their ship. They don't really explain it. I don't need them to. It's fine.
I mean, maybe he knew it was on Asgard, so he just plotted a trajectory there, and then they see a ship leaving after it blows up. I mean, who knows what kind of radar they have on the ship?
I don't really care.
I don't either, but I mean, it's freaking Thanos. He can do whatever he wants.
So we've been talking about this movie. Obviously, you can tell we really enjoy it. So now it's time to talk about our final thoughts and final rating. Aaron, hit me with it.
So, final thoughts. No matter what, visually, such a beautiful movie.
Yep.
I love the use of the lightning effects, the way, everything played out. The humor, the action, everything like we said so far. It's spot on. Mm-hmm. Like you said, we have a couple little things, the makeup, like you said, the how did she get there, all that. The sword that comes out of her foot randomly. So her powers are kind of straight. But you know what? I enjoyed the heck out of this film, no matter what, like you said.
Absolutely.
So on rating-wise, I will actually give it an 8.5. Because it's one of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
Can't do better than Spider-Man. Can't be better than Spider-Man. So, I honestly it's such a popcorn flick, honestly.
Yeah.
And I love it.
This movie is so much fun. I love all of the returning characters. They use Thor and Hulk and Loki really well. Heimdall gets a little bit more fleshed out of a role. I like that. I really like all the new characters, whether it be Cate Blanchett, with Hela. We got Valkyrie, Tessa Thompson, Grandmaster, Jeff Goldblum. I love, obviously, Scourge, Carl Urban. I think he disappears into that role. And, I think everything's great. Obviously, Korg is fantastic as a new character. So they just do a really good job of blending characters we're familiar with new characters. I like all of the settings they go to. They spend a little time on Earth, not much. We get time on Asgard. We get time on Sakaar. It's just the settings for this movie are great. As we mentioned, the action, the humor, everything. It really works really well. There are a couple of plot details that, especially on rewatch, you're going, they haven't explained that. Doesn't mean they won't, but they haven't yet. And the movie's really enjoyable. I think the only thing that drags it down for me is that I feel like as much as this is an essential movie and we talked about it, I don't know how impactful it's going to be moving forward. How many of these things are going to matter. I'm really looking forward to Love and Thunder and getting more Tessa Thompson.
So beautiful.
I was really disappointed in Infinity War that we didn't get more Korg or Valkyrie or any of those characters.
And they don't even say if they're dead. You just assume they're dead.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason I knew they weren't is because you can't kill those characters off screen. It was like they can't just not show up. But I was definitely disappointed we didn't get more with them. And I'm looking forward to seeing what we get next in this universe. But I think I'm a little lower than you. I still love this movie. It's still one of my favorites. I'm going to give it an 8.1. Because again, some of those plot holes just bring it down a little bit for me. And even though it's so much fun to watch, it's not one that I've revisited often. So the rewatchability for me hasn't quite been there as it is for some of these other movies. I think it's just outside my top 10 probably, but I think that speaks more to the quality of the MCU movies than it does to the detriment of this movie. I think this movie is a really good movie. I have so much fun with it every time I watch it. I just don't find myself being really compelled to return to it all the time.
It happens. It happens. And it's a good movie still, and like you said, not too much lower than me.
So. Well, anyways, those are our thoughts on Thor Ragnarok. We want to hear what you think. Let us know down in the comments below. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe to this video. And again, I'm Robert. This is Aaron. Tune in next time. We are going to be talking about Black Panther next. Another excellent entry into the MCU. So join us, guys, as we continue on this journey leading up to Black Widow. We're having a lot of fun. We hope you are too. And drop it in the comments. Get your geek on. We want to know what your rating is. And stay geeky, guys.